is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stephen E. Cross with Georgia Tech. In addition to serving as Georgia Tech's Executive Vice President for Research, Dr. Cross is a professor in the H. Milton Stewart School of Industrial Systems of Engineering and an adjunct professor in the College of Computing and the Ernst J. Scheller College of Business. Dr. Cross previously was at Carnegie Mellon University as a research faculty member in computer science and director and CEO of the Software Engineering Institute. Dr. Cross has served on several Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce task force. He was the University System of Georgia representative to a State of Georgia Strategic Planning Task Force on Science, Technology, and Innovation in 2011. Dr. Cross, thank you so much for being here.
Good evening. Lieutenant Governor Cagle and elected officials and members of the Technology Commission and distinguished guests, it's a real honor to be here tonight, and it's probably not appropriate for me to start with a complaint, but I realize now that I've been sandbagged because I'm sandwiched in between two exceptional speakers, and I'm a university person, so I'll do the best I can, and all I can do is promise I'll be brief. I did want to spend a couple minutes explaining this title. I'm mainly, of course, going to talk about Georgia Tech, but I'm going to talk about a new strategic plan we have at Georgia Tech that's focused on the innovation ecosystem. And I want to spend a couple minutes talking about what each one of those terms mean. You know what it means because it's very exciting what's happened here. But I have to share something that wasn't in my bio. I've been involved in universities, but also industry and government organizations now for 45 years. And I've always thought I was a pretty entrepreneurial person. Junior achievement in high school, and so 45 years ago, I'm in my first college class, and we had the final exam, and I'm not feeling real comfortable about this class, but I tried to remember some of the things they taught me in junior achievement. I took a $10 bill, and I put it inside the blue book, and I wrote where I signed my name. I said, you know, I think maybe 10 cents per point is in order here. And I got back $5.70 in change and a 43 on that final. But I decided not to lose the entrepreneurial instinct here. A lot of times we define innovation as the process of turning money into ideas through research, and then innovation itself turning those ideas into money. And that's kind of exciting what's happening out here with all the companies that are working here that the mayor talked about. And when we talk about an ecosystem, we're really talking about not just a university like Georgia Tech, and probably I think it's fair to say that maybe in the past we looked at ourselves as maybe sufficient, and now we look at ourselves as maybe necessary but not sufficient because we're part of a system. And this system, and this is one of the things that we've talked about the past several years in the state, involves the state leadership, and it involves the NGOs, the Chambers of Commerce's, the TAG, it involves the Technology Commission, it involves the startup companies we're creating, which our goal is to keep those companies in the state and help make them successful. And so that means having anchor partners in markets, large companies that come into the state or are more successful in this state that we can work with. So that means aligning around strategic markets where we can all work together. And it means the technical college system as well, too, because most of the graduates who will go into these technical companies will be technical college graduates. So now all working together is a real theme between what we mean by innovation ecosystem. And so I'm going to tell you a couple things about what we're doing at Georgia Tech to try to make our regional, our state innovation ecosystem the best in the world. And some things that might surprise you about Georgia Tech. When we introduced our new strategic plan 3 years ago, and our new president came in, Bud Peterson, he pulled this plan together. And the focus was on innovation of everything we do at Georgia Tech. If you cut grass at Georgia Tech, your job is to figure out better ways to cut grass every day. And so it's not just innovating in our educational program and our research program and our economic development program, but we're proud of the fact that we're a top 10 technological university in the world. How do we bring the world to Georgia? How do we bring the world to Alpharetta? And how, as a university, do we operate more as an agile business than maybe the universities we all experienced when we were students? What's really exciting is this innovation is embraced by the students. It's palpable on campus. The students coming in, in fact, I had one student who at midterms was complaining about the fact they didn't have enough time to run a startup company. We had one student create a company in their dorm that they sold for $2 million before they finished their second year at Tech. So it's just incredible what's going on. The people I've worked with at Tech have helped create the number of companies we've touched, startups, have increased by 7-fold in the past 3 years. That's been very exciting. More large companies and your dedication to EY this morning, another example. So Alpharetta is a really big part of this. And when I was asked by Hans and by Peter to come up and give this talk, the first thing I did is I Googled Alpharetta and technology to see some recent stories. And these are 3 stories that just popped up on Google. One is this company that does cloud-based computing, and it was named one of the 10 most innovative companies last year by the Technology Association in Georgia. This is old, right, because Ernst & Young changed their name to EY, but this was a story, I think, back in March when this announcement was made, and the dedication here today and the number of jobs that it's creating here. This one I really love, the Advanced Technology Development Center, because this is located at Georgia Tech. This is the state of Georgia-supported small business incubator. It's the first such organization in the country. It's the largest in the country. It's consistently rated as one of the top 10 in the world. And there's an Alpharetta Circle that meets every Friday just right down the street at Rome. And my colleague Betsy Plattenberg over here at table number 3 is the person who helps run this. And I'm really excited about the things that are happening here in ATDC. I already made some of these points here, but graduates of ATDC, these are companies that have gone through the training program and ranged their funding and are successful. There's 13 of these companies that are operating in Alpharetta and regions connected. At the current time, there's 25 companies that are part of this circle and part of ATDC. When I said the largest, we have about 360 companies statewide in this. So almost 10% of these companies are in Alpharetta, and I think that's really a significant statement. And I think we can all be very appreciative of the state of Georgia that supports ATDC and allows Georgia Tech to manage this on behalf of the state. The state also supports other entities that provide extension services to small to medium-sized businesses. One of these is the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And companies on the left here in the Alpharetta region have been supported in the past year either by the Manufacturing Extension Partnership or our Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. One of the things we do is help small companies get through the Small Business Innovative Research Program, get access to federal funding. And there's a lot more information you could find at this website if you want to know more. So I've just listed almost 75 companies that are here that Georgia Tech has touched, and we want to be a greater presence here in the future. Now, it's unfortunate that Representative Martin isn't here tonight because I pulled this out for his district, but this just shows something of the quality of the students that come to Georgia Tech from this region. And I have to lean over here to look at it. If you look at the number 1 major now is business administration. For anybody that went to Tech 25 years ago, they knew that business administration is what you went into when you flunked out of engineering. Now it's very competitive to get into. It's a very, very competitive program, a top 30 program in the country. Engineering, of course, is still very large. It's the largest engineering program in the country. It has 50% more graduates at MIT and Stanford, 40% more female graduates than any of the other colleges. But you can see some of the demographics here. The things I always like is how smart these kids are. And this is 2012 data that's on the left here, but SAT scores up close to in the high 1300s. It's just incredible. Somebody was joking to me that they couldn't have gotten into Tech. I couldn't have gotten into Tech either. That's why I tried to buy my way through my first course. Here's innovation, and one of the things we're doing in education just real quickly. There's been a lot of talk in the press about massively open online courses, or MOOCs. We're not going to convert our education program to MOOCs, but we have 13 courses that we've converted to MOOCs, and we want our students to experience online education because that's how they're going to be expected to learn for the rest of their lives, their professional education, their continuing education. Since we put these 13 courses online, we've had over 300,000 people register for those courses. I wish I could say they were all paying for those courses, because you don't have to do that in the current model unless you want to complete the course. But there's a sea state change that's happening in education, and we're experimenting with that, and we want to be at the tip of the spear at that. So we're one of the largest universities that are producing courses in this area. We've also announced we're going to have a master's degree in computer science, which will have direct benefit here with the companies in Alpharetta that we'll be bringing online within the next year. I'm in charge of research, and one of the things we've done is we've aligned our research around 12 core research areas where the technology areas map into strategic markets in Georgia. And I just mentioned a few of these tonight, and it's really exciting to see how these blend together. For instance, the area of big data with telecommunications and mobility, where my iPhone here has more computing power than the IBM 360 that I learned how to program on 35 years ago. And the impact that's having in health IT and biomedicine, and even in areas like manufacturing and materials, where information technology is so critical. So we've been working very hard to bring not just our research, but our education programs and all of our economic development activities and our applied research together around these areas. And I'll just give a couple examples of some recent things that we've done in the past year. This gets back to what an innovation ecosystem is, and from Georgia Tech's perspective, there are 6 things that we have to do. For our faculty and for our students, we want to create thought leadership platforms where the rest of the world is asking, what do we think in this region of the world? Innovation I already defined. Partnership is very important. That's a new part of our strategic plan, is we can't do this by ourselves. We have to be good partners, and we need partners. The infrastructure that we're building out for our campus, where we have more space where a company can come and embed themselves on the campus, or we have satellite locations like our startup circle here in Alpharetta. And I know there's been some talks about how we can make that permanent, and we'd be very interested in exploring that. At the end of the day, it's our students. It's the students that companies want, and by moving our innovation programs more into the education programs of the students, we've done some really exciting things. GE Energy Management Systems, for instance, supports an innovation competition in electrical computer engineering. They've done that for 4 years. They've hired a lot of the students. They've gotten 26 patent applications out of that in the past 3 years. It's been really exciting. And this idea of alignment, all working together with common goals, is really critical. I'm just going to give 2 quick examples of things we've done in the past year. One is a company called Pindrop Security. On your iPhone, there's a new phenomena called acoustic fingerprinting. And we can actually use this to trace where calls came from. And it's really big in the financial transaction community to do fraud detection. This is a PhD student. In less than a year, we took this to a company, and it's gotten over $11 million now in Series A funding. So that's phenomenal in a very short period of time. The second one that I was involved in directly with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is how we could use a device like our iPhone for remote diagnosis of your child's ear infection. So rather than go to call the doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning or go to the emergency room, you could take a picture yourself, send it in to the doc, and have it diagnosed. And this is in clinical trials now at Children's. It's a very exciting development where we developed all the software and the phone gadget for the iPhone. I talked about students, and the students that you've sent to Georgia Tech from this region are just phenomenal. We have a competition on campus called the Inventure Prize. This is also called the American Idol for Nerds. And it's a campus-wide competition. It's broadcast on GP, Georgia Public Broadcasting, the last 10 standing contestants. And a year ago, or 2 years ago, Elizabeth Lamar and her team won for a product called Rahand. And this is a $100 device that can be used for therapy for carpal tunnel syndrome. So that was a very exciting development. And Daniel Hopper, we have a big program in video game design between computing and literature at Georgia Tech. And Daniel's game Percepto was one of the top games that Apple had in their competition. We're also very proud of our students who go into government service or want to work on social engagement, and there's been a number of great students who have done that at Tech as well. So keep sending us your best students. This is great. And I think I've probably worn out my time, so I'm going to stand down now. Be happy to stick around afterwards to try to answer any questions. So thank you very much. This is very exciting what you're doing, and we want to be part of it. Thank you.